Hello and welcome to the Car Dealer Problem Solvers series. I'm James Baggett, I'm the founder of Car Dealer magazine, and today I'm joined by Sentient's Automotive Solutions MD, Ali May-Khalil, and today he's brought a special guest along too. So please welcome to the show, David Wishart, the owner and MD of Frasers of Falkirk and Edinburgh and MG and SsangYong dealer. Hello chaps, how are you both doing?
Morning.
Morning.
Good,
Nice. Nice to see you both. Thank you ever so much for giving up your time on this Monday morning. Now, today we're going to be talking about getting prepared for the restart. It looks likely this is probably going to come in April, missing the key month of March. If you've read reports coming out this weekend, they've suggested that schools are going to go back on March the 8th as originally planned, but non-essential retail is likely to follow in April and not sooner than that. Ali, with this in mind, dealers are going to be missing this key month of March, the 21 plate change. Surely April is going to need to be the new March for dealers this year.
Well, I mean, yes, it's disappointing. I mean, obviously we don't know that for a fact as yet, but that's likely, isn't it? And yeah, that's going to cause a bit of problems. Firstly, it's really important to remain positive. I think there's a lot to be positive about. Yes, that won't be able to be fully reopened until April if that is the case, but there's so much you can do in March. The registration plate change will happen obviously on the 1st, so that's happening, isn't it? So it's a case of how do we do the best we can in that set of circumstance. How do we set the business up now over the next few weeks, around our stock, around our sales? Have we got enough sales team in? Are they doing any prospecting? Are they looking at retention customers? Are we looking back over cars that we sold to people 2-3 years ago and have got a robust set of processes in place to contact them, because they might still be in the market. I've heard terminology used as, kind of pent up and revenge buy, all sorts of terminology, but realistically, much like us as a family, my family, probably not going to go on holiday or certainly not going to book anything this year, not until we know that we can, obviously with young children, and it's just too much of a faff, to be honest, booking it and cancelling it. So you know what? If we were in the market, we would be buying a new car now. Obviously, we can't go to the showroom because they're shut. But you know what? If somebody phoned up and said, hello, Ali, Heidi, whatever, for another £27 a month, we can move you out of this car into that car. That actually would be quite fun because it's pretty boring out there at the moment. And with no holidays and nothing much to look forward to, March could actually be a decent month for dealers that, utilize that digital journey, utilize retention, don't stop marketing yourself. I think there's business to be had.
Ali, do you think customers out there are receptive to those conversations? I've seen a few posts on social media after I've written stories along this line, where salespeople are worried about prospecting at the moment because they feel like they're calling up people who may have lost their jobs or
it's the latest excuse. Yeah, it's the latest excuse for salespeople that can't be bothered to prospect. I've heard them for 20 years. Truth be told, it's the wrong time of the day. It's tea time. People don't like being phoned at tea time. Weekend, don't ring him Saturdays. Don't ring him. It's Brexit. Don't ring him. It's the credit crunch. There's always a reason for salespeople not to do something. I'm not into that. I just think from the consumer's perspective is, I'd rather the salesperson made the call and did it in the right way than didn't make it at all, because you definitely won't sell a car if you don't make the call. If you make the call without it being structured, there's no process behind it, there's no measurement. You just give them a list of data and say, bang the phones. That's a complete waste of time as well. The salespeople should have an offer, a clear offer, what they've got in stock, have a printed stock list to say, right, this is what I can get delivered in March, not a wish list. These are the offers on those cars. This is a rough idea of what the gentleman or lady's car is worth. This is what the current payment is and what the new payment might be. So you're better off making fewer calls of quality than just like a blanket bomb load of crap, whatever you want to call it, because they are rubbish, aren't they, those calls? But yes, to answer your question, absolutely I'd be receptive because, I buy our own cars. And I don't really want to go to a car showroom at any point in time, truth be told, even if they are open. I'd much rather somebody phoned me up and said, would you like a brand new one, new shape for about the same a month? I'd
There's
go,
probably a lot
great.
of people out there who want that sort of phone call, isn't there? I mean, there's a lot of people who don't actually know what they can and they can upgrade
absolutely, especially around when you think of things like PCP.
Yeah.
Is people don't realise that they can change before the end of the term. They go, can I? Yeah, just like a normal HP, it's a settlement figure. You know, the job of the dealers to help advise as well. This call isn't about, well, it is selling, but if you get in the mindset of it being customer service orientated, did you know that? You know, oh, right, no, I didn't. You know, I'm so bummed out at the moment. I'm not going on holiday. You know, I've got a bit of money about. I'm not going out anywhere. I mean, I don't, you know, apart from an Indian takeaway on a Saturday night, it's about the full extent of what I'm getting rid of my money on. Well, and obviously, Heidi, make sure that Amazon see a fair share of our income. But, you know, that's it, isn't it? So, you know what? It's a nice release, I think. I think we should look at that quite positively. You know, and I know, you know, David and the gang will do what they can.
David, what on that front? What are your thoughts regarding March? And are you managing to prospect customers in the way that Ali's mentioned?
Yeah, I mean, we're quite fortunate with certainly with the MG franchise just now, because of the whole kind of advent of electric and everything that's been pushed towards us for electric vehicles, and the directives from the government and things as well, has meant that EVs, the demand in them, we've traditionally not been an EV dealer, so it's all a bit new to us. But certainly there's been a big push for EVs, a push from the manufacturers, particularly with the offers they've put on them. And I think that just now it's given people the chance to probably have a look and see what's on the market or what's out there, but also have a look into actually buying an EV. Because for a lot of people, obviously, it's a strange new purchase, it's a strange new thing to do, but it's actually really quite surprising the range of people that are coming in to look at them, where people always talk about millennials or Generation X or whatever it may be. You know, you've got people that are 60, 70, 80 years old interested in coming in for an EV, and I suppose it's like anything, it's something new, it's something that gives them a bit of a change. And again, you know, nobody ever thought that best part of a year ago that we would still be where we're at just now. So I suppose everyone's looking for something that's going to brighten up their day, because obviously the tedium and boredom that's probably hit most people. So there's definitely an appetite for new cars, used cars. I think everybody knows about. I mean, you know, most dealers are, yes, there's obviously going to be dealers out there that are finding it very, very tough just now. A lot of that's maybe down to actually trying to be able to get a hold of stock. Again, having a new car franchise with the likes of EV, something that is bringing people in, but it's also bringing in a good quality trade-ins as well. And that's allowing us still to kick on with used cars, which has been massively beneficial. And I really do feel the pain that some people must be experiencing in getting stock, or getting stock at the right money. So hopefully looking towards March, there is going to be, we've got a pretty good order bank. We've got a lot of, we're an old and long established business for a family owned company. We've been here the best part of 40 years. So we've got a good database. We've got a very good level of customer retention and repeat business. So I wouldn't say that I'm overly optimistic about March. I mean, it's not going to be like last March, I would think, but we're certainly having a good run at it. We've had a good run so far this year. It surprised me how many people are actually wanting to buy cars, and I would love to say out there wanting to buy cars, but obviously they can't be on our forecourts, they can't be in our showrooms, which I'm pretty sure we all have our opinions on. But the remote business that we're doing just now, the stuff that we're doing online, the stuff that, you know, this kind of click and collect, which is certainly new to us, or new to us for the last however many months, is certainly interesting. But there is an appetite for it, and I suppose we have to hold on to that.
Do you think there is? I know Ali's touched on it a moment ago, but do you think there's some pent up demand out there, and the fact that customers can't test drive at the moment is putting off some people, that when they can come into your showrooms and start trying these vehicles, they're going to start buying en masse?
There is the en masse. I don't know if that's going to be a bit bold, but the reality is the pent up demand that we experienced in the first lockdown was huge. But again, that was because everything opened up again with a reasonable semblance of normality to it as well. You know, customers could come in. There wasn't the same kind of level of restrictions that I believe we'll probably experience when we reopen again. It's going to be different, but also, you know, the same level of it. I think a lot more people have utilised click and collect. That wasn't really used in the first lockdown, or it couldn't be used in the first lockdown. So therefore, there's going to be pent up demand, but I would doubt it's going to be to the same level. I wish it was, but there's going to be a rush of people looking for cars. We've got a large number of people who will not do anything without test driving a car, understandably so, I suppose, for a lot of people. So we've got a lot of people to contact when things do reopen, and we're able to do that again.
I do think that that test drive piece is something that we really do need to sort out. Ali, when dealers are open again fully and able to operate with far less restrictions, how can they be prepared for this and be ready to capitalise on what is hoped for a really buoyant market in say Q2?
Well, I mean, in my opinion, it's got to start. Well, it should have already started, and certainly starts now. You got to make sure everyone's fit. You know, we forget this in some circumstances. Is people that have been on furlough for, you know, I don't know, however long, can't be just expected to be phoned up and said, right, you know, market, you know, we're back on. And, you know, what are you getting? You know, the person that was used to coming into work every day, had their routine, sales meeting, whatever, you know, got the leads, did the handovers, you know, they're in that flow, aren't they? Selling cars, handing cars over, that kind of thing. If they've been at home for however many months or part-time or whatever, are they in the best possible shape, fitness-wise, to capitalise on what will be a busy period? You know, I'd argue absolutely not. I mean, that'd be more harm than good, probably, wouldn't it? You know, you've got a lot of inquiries coming in, hopefully. Well, I think you will. More footfall than ever before, visitors to the showrooms, because people will just be glad to get out and have a drive and, you know, get out and about. And you've got a salesperson that's kind of, So, you know, I'd encourage everybody to start thinking about bringing them back. Start thinking about certainly part-time, or, you know, and getting them fit, making sure that they are fully engaged with the targets that they will be expected to achieve and the activity that drives those targets. I'd also say, you know, communication. I know, as I said before, something that David and the team do exceptionally well when we were speaking before we came on is, you know, if they're not at work, or, you know, every day, every other day, they're getting a phone call, how you doing? You know, look, you know, just keeping them warm, keeping them feeling engaged, keeping them that, you know, all the news has come out, we might be able to open, so we'll have a look at it next Friday, you know, maybe we'll get you back in. Those sorts of things that need to be happening, because I do know, I've got friends, you know, many friends in the automotive industry, and some of them of which are furloughed. A couple of a mate of mine is furloughed at the moment, actually, talking to him at the weekend. And yeah, his general manager hasn't spoken to him since October. So he's getting furloughed, and they're getting sent stuff out from HR, things like that. But you know what? Nobody picked up the phone to sort of go, "You're right."
I think a lot of businesses have found that very difficult, haven't they? I mean, I know at the start of the pandemic, when I had staff on furlough, knowing when and how I could contact them and what I could talk to them about was really,
well,
really
it is, but it is difficult. I'm not saying it's not, and I've got empathy there. Certainly, you know, it's a tough gig for everybody. But to answer your question about, you know, getting ready for what is hopefully a bit of a reopening in the next how many weeks, is the reopening starts now, doesn't it? You know, it's about getting positive. It's about getting your people back. It's about getting your processes right around customer retention for the March 21 plate. You know, don't miss that market. You need people to make the calls. You need people to handle the inquiries. You know, so getting back, making sure they've got the right KPIs and targets. So if you operate as I like to do with dealers, you know, is an activity-based targeting. I'd rather they targeted their people on the activity than sales. So instead of saying to somebody, "Or do 15 cars in the month," I'd rather they focused on speaking to 50 people, because of course they're more likely to go looking for the inquiries through social media, the inquiries through the website, the telephone, whatever. So are you setting the right activity? Because you can influence that, can't you? The activity. So get some activity-based targets in, get people positive, and also let them know it's okay to not hit them. And that's, I think, quite crucial is, and again, I talk for David, but you know, as long as the team, from my experience of working with Frasers, is as long as the guys and girls there are trying to do the right things, then that's most of the time enough for David and Andrew, the owners there. You know, do they get it right 100% of the time? No, of course, who does? But as long as they're being tried, it's, you know, the team are positive about trying. And I work with know a few businesses, they're just not positive about trying. And I think that'll do you more harm than any lockdown.
David, I know you've worked with Ali and the team for quite some time and had some great success off the back of it. I mean, perhaps you could give the people watching this some examples of the things that have really worked that Ali's mentioned.
Ali's he focused a lot of her attention on, in fact, there was numerous aspects he focused on. I think, you know yourself, you get so comfortable within what you're doing and you think that you're doing, not necessarily doing the best job, but you think that you're doing a good job. And you know, we went along and we spoke with Ali and got Sentience on board as well, and it was a great way to focus us and make us look at some of the areas that we'd maybe let slide a wee bit as well. Certainly our F&I was reasonable, but what we were doing was we were underselling ourselves. We were chasing sort of low rate stuff, and Ali kind of spoke to us and told us to give it a try, and we built a bit of confidence in the fact that we could actually go for a slightly higher rate as well. Not for any other reason than, you know, there's these are all areas where, I mean, obviously things have kind of changed now. They've not massively changed, but with the finance companies, all the regulations and things that are out there for us. But the reality is we were almost trying to compete with the banks on everything, as opposed to doing what we're good at, which is being a one-stop shop. Someone comes in and can complete the whole purchase journey and do everything with us. So that was important for us. Another thing that Ali was also spoke to us about quite heavily was in our purchasing of used cars and basically doing a kind of we buy any car kind of thing to try and generate a lot more business for ourselves. But then a thing that's been probably the biggest benefit for us has been our focus on our social media, which is a thing that Ali spoke to us about quite a lot in depth, our online sales and how it all kind of links together. Which, you know, we had a website, and the website, which is still the same one, but the new one should be getting rolled out shortly. But it was okay, it did the job. But again, fortunately, the focus that had been put upon that before the pandemic had allowed us to really step up our e-commerce side of it, which has helped us massively through the current stage that we're in just now as well. And yeah, the work that he's done with our sales guys, again, as Ali says, I think we're quite a friendly company to work for. You know, we don't I don't think we're particularly harsh on our sales people, but certainly a wee bit of training for them went a real long way. Some of the guys that we'd had on board that were doing a fantastic job are still doing a fantastic job, but a couple of guys that were kind of trodden along and doing fine, certainly managed to bring out some excellent results from them, and just obviously unfortunate that lockdown and the whole pandemic come into play, but to be honest, they're going to be exceptionally well geared up for when they come back, because again, as Ali says, we do try to communicate with them regularly. We're lucky, we're a small family-run business. There's myself, my business partner Andrew as well, and it means that one of us can really focus on the people that are maybe off on furlough, and as Ali was saying, getting them ready for when they come back, so that they're not coming back and being a bit stale. We want them to come back and be firing on all cylinders, because there's going to be a lot of business out there for us, and we want to be ready to capitalise on that and take advantage.
Ali, what about KPIs for businesses? Sometimes this is something that only the management team like to keep close to their chest and don't share with the rest of the team. What are your thoughts on that? I mean, KPI is something that everybody should know what the business goals are, or should it be something just for the MD?
Everybody should know them. In my view, anyway, everybody should know those. Be inclusive. you're employing adults, aren't you? Good people that, what really, if they understand what it's all about, they buy into it. Whatever those KPIs might be, some businesses use different ones. Activity would certainly be something I'd look at. Dave mentioned F&I, profit per unit. Look at your conversions from certain, channels, such as what's your conversion on social media to test drive to sale? What's your conversion from walk-in to test drive to sale? Is there a relationship between those leads and the profit per unit? So is any particular channel more profitable than another? So, if you sell cars on this platform, what do they make versus this platform? The trouble a lot of dealers have is they lump it all into one and say, this is what we make per car. But if you actually, break that apart a bit. So therefore, if we know what that is, then, and share that with the team, they'll actually know that actually that's a good lead from there. I need to take that seriously. Or if I'm incentivized, around activity, whatever it might be, absolutely share your numbers. Even better, if you can, of course, would be to ask for feedback on them from the team. To say, look, is this achievable? Can you do this? And if you can't, why not? Can I help you to get there? And if you can, great. What could stop you from getting there? Have those conversations. Don't just email out a list of targets. Get your managers or whoever. And I know David and the guys there is, they will set targets and they will drive certain areas of the business, but it's never unfair. The team will say, well, that's a bit salty, they say, all right, okay, well, what do you think is reasonable? And you get that engagement, you get that level of inclusiveness. So it's a shared objective as opposed to just somebody feeling isolated on their own, getting beat up over a number. It's actually more collaborative, and businesses that do that, I think, which we all know, will always do better than those that just go, right, you 20 cars, you 20 cars, you 15 cars, you've not been here long, you 12 cars, you're experienced, you have 40. Right, great. That's the sales meeting over. I'll see you at the end of the month for a roasting if you haven't hit them.
David, let's talk a little bit about how your business has performed in the last year. I mean, it's obviously been incredibly tough circumstances, but how's it treated you?
We had an excellent 2020. Again, very fortunate with some of the stuff that we put in play before the pandemic hit, which has paid dividends for us. Again, like anything, you're better than lucky than good, because we certainly have lucked out with the franchise. The franchise we've got as well. SsangYong has had a number of kind of issues and things as well, but again, they're still a good solid franchise for us. We've been with them now for nearly 7 years. So we've got, once again, they get a really, really loyal base. And MG has obviously, as most people will know, obviously, their numbers were absolutely flying last year from where they've been. And again, we've been with them since 2015. So really good relationship with them as well, which is, again, paid dividends for us, because they've actually been a really supportive manufacturer, really accessible, which has helped. Used cars, again, obviously, I think pretty much everybody was in the same boat. Everyone was flying with used cars, when we came out of the first lockdown. It was fantastic, and it all came together for a really good year. Obviously, not paying business rates adds a fair amount of money onto your bottom line as well. So it's not all directly attributable to selling cars, but we ended up having, I think, units-wise, we ended up at both our sites, ended up on 2019, and 2019 was by no manner of means a failure of a year, so that was positive. So yeah, 2020 ended up an exceptionally good year for us, and as much as we were obviously, it kind of knocks the wind out your sails a wee bit when we knew that this other lockdown was coming. It's certainly not made us think that it's going to be a bad year, because the start that we've got off to has been really, really positive. Again, yes, we can look at it and go that we're missing out in March, but as you had said previously, if it all falls into April, does it really matter. The business is going to be there, and it's going to be there for us to take. So, and I think that we're well geared up for it. We've got a good team of people here that care, which is, well, Ali was obviously alluding to the fact of how we operate, but that genuinely is the biggest thing for us, is having people that work for us that actually care about the business.
But that contributes, doesn't it? You know, some people take that for granted, perhaps, you know, and I know obviously you guys have been there a long time, your staff, but obviously as an outsider myself, that, you know, every week, you know, I'm seeing different businesses. You know, don't underestimate that. It makes such a difference. You know, David's results there that you mentioned, 2020 versus 2019, you know, credit to them all for that. But that's not in no small part to the level of engagement, you know, with the team, and how the vibe, you know, the feeling, the culture of that business. You know, how much, I wouldn't want to put a percentage on, but significant.
Ali, you've clearly had a lot of success with David and the team there, and we've mentioned quite a few top tips for the reopening in this chat. What would be your standout points? What would be your final takeaways for people watching this?
Be positive, like David said. You know, I don't have all the answers. I haven't got a magic wand. You know, I don't claim to have. But you know what? You know, push yourself a little bit. Be open-minded that you can be successful. It might be that it's April, it might be that it's May, but if we take, say, you know, that first 6 months of the year as a whole, try and think of things like in two halves, as opposed to minute by minute of the game, if you like. You know, you might have lost out, you know, in the first month.
Football analogy.
I love a football analogy. We beat Leeds yesterday 4-2.
You don't love football, mate. You support Arsenal, but that's by the by.
We beat Leeds yesterday 4-2. That put them back in their place.
Who would have thought posting about that?
I know, sad, isn't it? But anyway, it's sad. It's what they've reduced us to. You know, there's a lesson in managing your customers' expectations, isn't it? We're all now pleased that we beat Leeds. I mean, that's credit to the board of directors for making us feel that way and still charging us the same. That's like miraculous. But anyhow, positivity, I think, is that, you know what, there are better days to come. There is a market to be had. I would just be positive. Spread that positivity through your business, encourage a culture of inclusiveness, have a shared objective as a team, make sure you sweat that end-to-end customer journey digitally. Do you know how many people are going to the top of your sales funnel and where they're coming from? And if there's not enough, why not? You know, get your people ready to come back, get them engaging with customers. They do want to hear from you. They do want to be prospected, by and large. And customers, you know, clearly want to buy cars. It's just whether or not you want to try and adapt your model, you know, that way. It's more customer service than sales now, isn't it? You know, so that's what I would say. Plenty to be excited about. Don't panic if you're not open in March, because if you have a bumper April, May, June, July, August, then get yourself set up for that really, and think, because you haven't got really a choice, have you? Because you're not going to. I've never seen anybody moan their way to target. So, you know, you've got two choices really, and those that grasp it and go with it, I think will do all right.
Ali, thank you very much for your positivity once again, and David, congratulations on a successful year last year, and I hope 2021 is even better for you. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Cheers.
Great stuff. Okay, thank you to Ali and David there. If you'd like more videos like this one, you can log on to cardealermagazine.co.uk and click on the live tab at the top of the page. I'll see you next time. Thanks for joining me. Goodbye.